It's hard to visualize, but for a moment, try. Imagine growing up in a world with gender based barriers, poverty driven obstacles, limited access to quality education, health and safety concerns, and expectations to contribute to household labor, requiring you to drop out of school to support your family financially. And I'm only scratching the surface here. Let's have ourselves a pocket sized pep talk because I'm going to talk with a representative from an amazing charity I want to introduce you to and dive into the transformative journey of girls defying the odds through customized education and lifelong support. Can education truly break the cycle of poverty? Yes, it can. It's a beautiful story that defies all odds.
A Pocket Sized Pep Talk, the podcast that can help energize your business and your life with a quick, inspiring message. Now, here's your host, Rob Jallis.
Today's guest, Aditya Narain, brings his experience of 40 years of working with diverse teams on complex national and international policy issues at the IMF and the Reserve Bank of India to his post-retirement voluntary position with the board of the Edu-Girls, where he is the director of strategy and also oversees the career development program. He now lives in the Washington metro area with his wife, Sushma. Happy to have you with us and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rob. It's a real pleasure being here and talking to you about Edu-Girls.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And I got a head start, everybody, because I was blessed and lucky enough to be at one of the charity events where I was their live auctioneer as we worked real hard to raise as much money as we can. And we had a real good night that night. Do you remember how much we raised?
Yes, we made it close to $800,000.
That's what we call a good night. All right, let's dive in with you. I want to start with you giving everybody a quick explanation of the charity itself.
Okay, so Edu-Girls, it's an IRS registered 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Maryland, the United States. And what we do is that we work are largely in South Asia, and we are focused on enabling girls who are living in extreme urban poverty to achieve financial independence, as you mentioned, Rob, through customized quality education, by making sure that they not only get a high quality education, but that education is put to use, and they are then able to become financially independent by choosing careers, meaningful careers that can help them and their family and their community to be able to be much better off than they currently find themselves, the circumstances they find themselves in.
Yeah. And it is an amazing group. I think is the first time in 15 years for me as an auctioneer where I actually got emotional on the stage because it's when you see the pictures and you hear the stories, it really brings what you're saying to life. Let's stay with the numbers a little bit. How many schools?
So we have currently in India itself 6 schools now. We might say 6 partner schools that we collaborate with, that we are working with very closely. But in addition, we are also working with a school in Pakistan that's in Kohat, and with 2 schools in Nepal. But our primary area of focus and the largest population that we serve there is in India in those 6 schools.
Right. And I'd like you to give people sort of a sense of how many girls we're talking about that we're really reaching out to. Because when I met your group, I thought, well, that's nice for 5 or 6 girls. They're probably really taking care of there. But the numbers were higher than I expected. What kind of impact? What are we talking about here?
Sure. If our current enrollment in our schools in India is roughly around 2,400 girls. In
Yeah.
Pakistan, in the school in Pakistan, it's another 400 girls. And the current enrollment in the 2 schools in Nepal that we support is about 90 girls. So we are talking to close about 3,000 girls in South Asia at this point in time.
Unbelievable. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I remembered a story that was told where, if we're questioning, are they getting a good education from these schools, that their numbers were sort of compared to some of the more conventional schools, and we did pretty well.
Absolutely. In fact, in some cases, they are even doing better than the private schools, because what we do is it's part of the methodology, which maybe we can talk a little bit about later, is that we make sure that the girls are tested regularly, and they are tested using the same methodology that is used to test, which the same tests which are taken by girls who are studying in the best private schools at that point of time in those states. And what we found is over these last 10 years, as we worked with these girls, they have done better and better, and in some states done better than the girls than the peer group of girls that they are that we are comparing them with, and that makes us feel very good about it. That means what we are doing in making sure that they are able to achieve these goals is working. That the methodology that we've chosen to employ is really helping and is making the impact that we set out to meet. We
Yeah.
also test the teachers, and I would just say that that's another thing which we do, because it's not just the students; the teachers also have to keep pace with this very rapidly changing environment.
Got it. And we're gonna touch on a couple of some success stories in a minute, but I'll let you go where you want to go right now. Let's talk about those mantras. I think there's 10 of them, because you're dealing with a former Xerox person. A lot of times I'm talking to businesses, and I always admire a business that actually has a process in place. So because sometimes, well, we just sort of do it. We're playing golf. I just kind of hit the ball, but your swing is a little bit more methodical. You've got, I believe, 10 mantras. Let's lightly touch on some of those, okay? I'm turning the floor over to you.
Sure, absolutely. And let me just a quick word about our founder, our current chairman, Anand Seth, who was with the World Bank. He retired from the World Bank, and then he started this the Edu-Girls. So we have on our board Anand, another couple of folks from the World Bank, and that's me from the IMF, and a few other board members who are entrepreneurs and also belong to also from other professions. The thing is, what what Anand and his group did initially when they started out is they used the experience which the World Bank has gained in looking across education and projects in the education sector and trying to see what is it that really worked. Understanding what were the obstacles to girls' education, what kept the enrollment low, what kept the attendance low, what made them drop out more, and then identifying 10 mantras which would help um, uh, addressing which would help in essentially making sure that girls entered and continued in school and benefited the most from their education. So these 10 mantras are based on international experience, and which has been validated by a whole lot of research done by the bank and and other organizations. And very quickly, I mean, to start out with the first of all is what we are doing is we are providing the education that we provide is free. Now, there's a lot of discussion about whether there should be skin in the game and so on and so forth. But remember, we are dealing with a very marginalized, with a community where girls are the lowest priority in the household. And if when you want to save the last rupee or the last dollar, whatever you call it will essentially impinge upon whatever is there for the girl child. And therefore, what we wanted to do is make sure that the education was free, and all the equipment that is required for education, be it school bags or school shoes or the books, everything is also provided for. So the education is free. The second thing we want to make sure is that they are able to get to campus safely by that the transport is provided to them. There's also a lot of international experience on this, that girls drop out because they're not able to make it to school on their own. In a sense, it's not safe for them to get to school and back. And so we make sure that the girls are transported from where they are to school and taken back. Now, the third is to make sure that they get the nutrition and the help with the health and hygiene, which otherwise they might not be able to get. And nutrition, particularly because again, the same thing in some of these households, it's whatever is left from feeding the men is what the women in the household would get in a certain sense. So we want to make sure that they get proper meals and they're healthy. And as they grow, that they are also getting all the hygiene attention they need to be able to address those needs. Then we talk about, the community. Now, most of these girls come from communities which are conservative. And in a certain sense, if we want them to succeed, if we want them to be to progress, the community has to be on board. So a lot of the attention is paid to interacting with the community, their parents, and the elders in the communities to convince them that what the girls are doing will eventually lead to betterment for the community itself. So that community that outreach is also a very important element of this. Then, of course, is the quality education. We want to give them education which will lead to essentially prepare them for financial independence, which means it must give them employable skills or must guide them towards attaining more employable skills. So that's the quality education. Then we provide performance incentives, both for the students, so that there's something for them if they're doing well, as well as for the teachers. Because in a sense, the teachers also to be able to interact with in a meaningful fashion, engage with, and teach children who come from these backgrounds. It requires a little bit of a missionary zeal from the teachers themselves to get, and that again, in a certain sense, we have to be able to help them continue with their with the work that they are doing, and we provide incentives for them as. A very important mantra is the one about shorter school days and longer school year. Many of these girls, they are assisting their mothers typically in the household chores, and then essentially also going with them on their daily tasks. Many of them are domestic help, so the girls would also go with them. So in a sense, they are not able to manage the school day as anybody else would. So what we do is we give them shorter school days, which enables them to fit these schedules, and then longer school years, so that we can make sure that they would still get the same amount of education which their peers would be getting in. The next one, of course, is a focus on STEM. That is in science, math, technology, and particularly English. And English because it's a global world. What we want them to prepare is not just for local careers, but to be able to raise their hands for even global opportunities that come by. And so these are the mantras that we typically work on, the 10 mantras. I think I've covered them all. I think there's one more. That's the non-academic life skills. So it's not just what they can do in with their books. It's also teaching them the joy, the child, let's say, to be good at teamwork through sport, at personal expression through art, through theater, through drama, and we are very proud of how well some of these girls have done. In fact, we taught them martial arts in the school in Jaipur, and we have for 2 years running, we've had girls from them representing India in international competitions of the martial arts and coming back with gold medals. So it's a huge achievement.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, another huge achievement is you getting those mantras in succinctly. Well, that it's a business show. So if I could just sort of branch off for everybody, think of how difficult it is for us to articulate what we're doing. Okay. I can't tell, it's not exactly an elevator pitch, but I've talked with major Fortune 500 companies who can't really explain one mantra, succinctly. You just went through 10. And, I was playing a little game while I was listening to it. I do this sometimes when I teach a process that's more involved. I always finish and I go, okay, now, pick the one we should eliminate. And there isn't one. There isn't one. I can't find it. So I really think you've got all your bases covered here. It's really amazing. And I'll tell you the one that caught me. If I could pick one that surprised me, transportation. That's one that I wouldn't be thinking about. And we have areas in the United States that are, where children are being brought up in poverty. It's a safety issue. And so I just feel like you've kind of got all your bases covered here. Really amazing. And I saw some pictures of some of the girls with their medals too, which was quite moving. All right. How about you giving us an athletic one? I like the part of some success stories that I remember hearing. And I'm telling you, I became a fan. I was on the side of the stage listening to this before I got up there. Some success stories on some of the girls who've gone through the system, basically started, completed their education, have now moved into employment, and some of the successes there.
Absolutely. So, as I sort of said earlier, one of the things that we do is we just don't want to give the girls a quality education. We want to make sure that they are prepared for financial independence and they approach meaningful careers, right? So what we do is after they finish school, after they graduate from school, we don't let them go. We make sure that they go ahead and enroll in either vocational or programs or training programs or college degrees or whatever it is that they think that they are going to be able to do. But we help them, first of all, while they are in the senior years of school, through use of career counselors and psychologists, help them discover their aptitude, to develop it, and then decide on what career path they would like to follow. And then we help them we provide scholarships for all the girls after school to take them through to the next level and make sure and then help them in getting internships till they are able to get into jobs. And that's where you really see the in a sense the outcome of all the effort that we've put in. And the stories that we hear and the stories which I'm going to tell you, some of them they really you really feel connected in a certain way. The impact comes through. Let me because you've seen those pictures. These girls live in very crowded tenements with almost no privacy, 10 people to a room sometimes. Alcoholism is rampant among in the area. Safety is not really assured. But when they emerge from all this and take on these careers, they become incredible role models for the other girls who are watching, who also then want to be able to strive and not escape, but to come back and better what they've left behind. So let me start with the first girl I came across when I started working with my responsibility for the career development program. This was Bhumika, and I won't give the last names. So Bhumika in Jaipur, and I recall her story that very early on in her life, she lost her father. She was brought up by her mother in the slum area in which we work. Her mother also passed in 2021, just when she was about to close to graduating from school, and then she was living somewhere with an uncle along with several other brothers and sisters, but still trying to figure out how she's going to make her way in the world. So when we discovered that she had an aptitude for creating, she wanted to do a proper job. We discovered she had this aptitude for creating, for baking. We got her assigned to a diploma in baking course. She excelled in that course. She got an internship in a five-star hotel making cakes, and she is now employed by them and is also now thinking of opening her own bakery. So which she'll be able to then, treat everybody else with the great stuff that she makes. So that was Bhumika. And another girl at that time was Manisha, and she was abandoned at birth. Again, not a very uncommon story, especially where women or girl childs are not valued. And then she and her mother, of course, faced a lot of ridicule. They were not, even from their own family. So her mother supported her by working as a seamstress for quite a while. Manisha came to our school at class 5. She did very well in her studies, and her academic prowess was recognized. And she then decided that she wanted to enter the medical field, and is now currently is pursuing a bachelor in physiotherapy, and is also is a very important role model for other girls who look to see what is it that they can do. There's Harshita, another girl whose parents were unemployed. She had 7 family members, and she had to support all of them. So she used whatever savings she had to open a clothing store, because she we the skills course that she did through us helped her in fashion designing, and she's opened her own clothing boutique now. And now she's the sole breadwinner of the family, of the family of 7. And there are so many of these stories I can tell you, and these are all, and I won't, till you tell me to stop, I'll keep going. There's
No, I got you. I remember, doctors, nurses, entrepreneurs, and you hit on something important. Some of them are coming back and they're taking care of their families and elevating the families. And I think a couple of words that you use that are the most important: role models. They're becoming role models for other family members, girls and other family members. It's an inspiring story. And one other thing, I wish the universities would be listening to this conversation, because we put our children through education, and they come through their 4 years ish, and out they go. I'm 15 years in helping people with career transition find jobs. It's an exception to the rule when we have the universities take a little bit of interest in helping them find that career path. I think that should be number one on the list for a university. Education's important. I'm not discounting it, but complete the job, complete the journey. If the child puts their hand up and says, "I'm done," okay, you're done. But if the child's there to learn, finish the job. You guys finish the job. And again, I just take my hat off to you. It's incredible. How do you keep the volunteers motivated? I'm coming down the home stretch, but you have a team of volunteers and they seem very active and interested. What's your secret?
So I think it's just this having a shared vision. We all recognize the fact that this is an area which needs a lot of attention. If you look at South Asia, the female participation in the labor force is probably among the lowest in the world. It's about roughly less than to 20%. And the governments there recognize that this is an important area and they need to both empower young girls, educate them, and get them into the workforce. But they have to face, in a sense, they're still dealing with a whole lot of issues of social conservatism, of hierarchy within society, all of which has to be dealt with. And they are gaining ground. But the enormity of the task is such that it needs everybody to act, not just the public sector, the private sector, the non-profit sector, and anybody who can has to be able to do it. And I think this recognition has helped a whole lot of people gravitate towards us in a certain sense. Now, we are very fortunate. Some of our donors have become our volunteers. Some of our volunteers have become donors. If you look at our board, as I mentioned, it's a composition of people who have kind of gravitated together because they shared this common vision. We are completely a voluntary board. Everybody here who works on this, and there's 11 of us on the board. We have opened a new chapter in San Francisco. We've got, again, three members there. We have youngsters whom we call young ambassadors. We have children in school in Tacoma Park who every year they work to raise funding for the girls in our projects in South Asia. So I think what's really connected all of these people is just this common vision, this shared purpose, this ability that they will be able to make a difference. And the way we keep them motivated, of course, is to make and you would know this more than anybody else, is communication. We have to be able to communicate very well about what we are doing, how we are doing, make sure that we are completely transparent, make sure that people know that we don't spend any money on ourselves, that there are no overheads for us. Everything goes towards the projects. We have once a year, we have, or sometimes twice, Edu-Chais, as we call them. We bring together all the people who are interested and talk to them about what we are doing. We have the annual gala where you helped us raise a lot of money last year, where again we bring together people who are not just our donors, not just our volunteers, but others who are interested in knowing about us to come, and there we again sort of so we tell the story as it is. We try to make sure that we are able to communicate very well, and we that's what helps people continue to believe in us and to believe that what we are doing is having an impact. At some stage, we in our own discussions we had this toss up between scale and impact, and we thought maybe should we do a lot more, go to more schools, do many more of this, and then we decided no, let's keep what we've got and build it really well, and make sure that people get to know not just what we know, but what the schools know, what the girls know, what everybody knows, so that we this communication has helped us keep our volunteers motivated more than anything else, other than the shared purpose.
Well, I have to tell you, absolutely a delight having this conversation. Uh, Very kind words about that auction, but I have to tell you, the auctioneer is as successful as the audience lets the auctioneer be. And in my 15 years of auctioneering, I'm not sure I've ever walked into a room that was more generous and giving than that particular room. It's a night I won't forget. I really, I wish you so much luck and success. I'm not even sure why I use the word luck. You have processes in place. You have the right people in place. It's a joy hearing the story. How do people learn more and get a hold of this organization, maybe to give or to learn more?
Sure, of course, there's our website. That's www.edugirls.org, and we try to put as much information as possible, keep it as updated as possible. You can also reach out to us at info@edugirls.org, and we will be happy to provide you with any information. One of the things which you're trying to do even more is like, and as you mentioned, that we have the 10 mantras. It's a methodology. So what we do is we follow it up. We follow it up religiously and meticulously and very regularly. So we collect all the data on what's the impact, and this more and more we are trying to put it more on our website so people can see exactly how the methodology works, and also judge for themselves the success of our model. But beyond that, we are available to answer any questions, and if anybody reaches out to me, I would be very delighted to take them out for a cup of coffee, whether or not they don't give to us or not, but just so that I can speak to them and tell them a little bit about what we do.
Good. Well, you spoke to a lot of them today, and he's such a nice guy. I'm not the nicest guy in the world. The auctioneer's coming out than me. If you go have a cup of coffee with Aditya, bring your checkbook with you, okay? He's going to pick up the coffee. Don't worry. The coffee's on him. But and I just want to make sure people get that website. It's edugirls.org, and that's EDUGIRLS.org. That's info@edugirls.org as well. Okay. Absolute pleasure connecting again. Loved this conversation, learned a few more things from this group, and whether I'm your auctioneer or not, you're not going to be able to get rid of me so easily. What a blessed thing you're doing. Congratulations. A pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you, Rob. The pleasure was really mine, and I'm so glad that we are able to get our word out through you. Thank you.
You bet. Well, folks, we'll do it again as well as we can next time, although it's going to be a challenge. Until then, take care.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and recommend it on iTunes, Outcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information on this show and Rob at jollis.com.